and you're good.
Hello again, fancy meeting you here. We just saw you, and now we are back for another Chones Platica for XicanIndie 23. Real quick, I want to thank our collaborators, KUVO 89.3 FM, Rocky Mountain PBS, the Consulate General of Mexico, and Media Arts Santa Ana. I want to remind you again about the summer internship. If you have a high school student who is interested in a fast-paced yet fun and eventful summer, look no further than Su Teatro's summer internship. Applications are open now until April 18th, so don't miss out on that. You can head over to suteatro.org and find the application, and that is also where you can go get your tickets if you have not done that yet for XicanIndie. And you can watch all of the wonderful shows that we are about to talk about today. So I'm going to pass it off to Felicia Gallegos Perez, and she will give you a few more updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Yes, I am Felicia Gallegos Perez, and welcome to our Platica for the Chones 2 group. We sincerely appreciate everybody joining us today. A couple more announcements on upcoming events with Su Teatro. Do you love homemade tortillas fresh off the comal? And do you wish you knew how to make them? Well, now's your chance. Su Teatro's Cultural Preservation Series will present a tortilla making class from the comfort of your own cocina. Save the date, Sunday, May 16th at 11 a.m. Details are forthcoming, and you'll be able to register for that and find all the details at www.suteatro.org. We also want to let you know that coming up next week, we have the 7th ever WordFest and Artists of Color Summit. The Artists of Color Summit kicks off next Friday, April 16th at 1 p.m. with a Film Producers Academy workshop given by our partners, Media Arts Santa Ana. This year's festival will feature new work in progress by artistic director Anthony J. Garcia, The Sun Serpent by Jose Cruz Gonzalez, and some very other exciting events. Now, we have a whole host of guests today, and we're so excited to talk to them all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name off everybody, and what I'd like for you to do is tell us your full name, the project that you're representing, and the city that you hail from. I myself am here in the heart of the north side of Denver. So first up, we have Andrew. Can you please give us your name, the film you're associated with, and the city you're coming from, you're broadcasting from?
Sure. My name's Andrew Cervantes. The film is Consent, and I'm in Los Angeles.
All right. Federico.
Hi, hello. I'm Federico Chavez. I'm the sound designer and composer for Silencio, San Antonio, Texas.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. Next, I have Ben.
Hello, I'm Benjamin Mario Luis Gallegos, aka Ben Boom. My film is Boom Walks into a Bar, and I'm broadcasting from Grand Junction, Colorado right now.
Thank you for joining us. Ashley. Is she here? We were also supposed to have Ashley Garcia, filmmaker from Antonio and Abiquiu. Okay, well, how about Rob? Is Rob with us?
Hi, Rob Garcia, San Antonio, Texas, and my film is Silencio.
Thank you for joining us, Rob. Valerie.
Hi, I'm Valerie Garza. I'm from San Antonio. Sorry, I'm with my family. They're really loud. And I'm on Silencio. I was an actress on
Silencio. Thank you for joining us. I have next Luisa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Luisa Gonzalez. I am the director of Salvando El Salvador, and I'm based in Austin, Texas.
Thank you for joining us, Luisa. TJ.
Hi, I'm TJ Gonzalez. I'm an actor representing Silencio, also from San Antonio, Texas.
All right, San Antonio, very good representation here today. Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan Hernandez, and I am the dancer and choreographer of In My Attic, and I am based out in Sacramento, California.
Welcome, Morgan. And Su Teatro company member as well, Cipriano. Where are you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Cipriano Ortega, and I'm here in Denver, Colorado. And the film that I'll be presenting, or as part of the festival, is called Promise. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Tony. Tony Ortega.
Yes,
That
buenas
Tony.
tardes. ¿Cómo están ustedes? Yeah, I'm come from Denver's north side, my studio here, and I'll be presenting 5 short iPad movies that I made.
Thank you for joining us. Nilton.
Hello, I am Newton Rezende. I'm from the northeast of Brazil, and I am a screenwriter and director of the film A Barca, The Ferry.
Thank you for joining us. Junior.
No.
No, I also have, I had Junior Robinson, filmmaker with Danza Azteca. Next would be Orlando. No?
He's muted.
Orlando Torres. Oh, there we go. I didn't want to hurry it. Sorry.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we
Hi,
could
my
hear
name-
you.
In my attic, and yeah. And I'm based in Fairfield, California.
Well, thank you for joining us. Andy.
Hi everyone, my name is Andy. I am the director of Mama Chiapas, and I am Mexican, but I'm based in Toronto, Canada.
Brandon English.
Hi, my name is Brandon English. I was an actor in Consent, and I'm located here in Los Angeles.
Welcome, welcome. Cesar.
Hey guys, my name is Cesar Carmona, and I was the other actor in Consent. I am based in East Los Angeles, California.
Welcome. Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I am affiliated with Boom Walks Into a Bar. I did the videography for that and other things, and I'm in Montrose, Colorado.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Kim.
Hello, my name is Kim Carlson, and I played the role of Bonnie in Salvando.
Thank you for joining
and I'm
us.
from Austin, Texas. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Welcome from Austin, Texas. Tracy, I like the population of Gallegos is here.
Hey, how you doing? I'm also with
Thank you for joining us. And last but certainly not least, I have Andre.
Hi there. My name is Andre Fernandez. I was the producer for Salvando a Salvador, and I'm based in New York City. Happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, for introducing yourselves and telling us where you're from. We sincerely appreciate you joining us today. And now I'd like to hand it over to our facilitator, Danny Salazar. Thank you so much.
Bueno. My internet connection is unstable, son of a gun. Bueno, good afternoon, buenas tardes, everybody. Welcome, bienvenido. I'm Daniel Salazar, and the reason that I had the great pleasure to moderate some really fantastic short films that I thoroughly enjoyed is because I have the t-shirt. I have a Chones t-shirt, so that's one of the casting decisions that Su Teatro made in order for me to have this opportunity. You know, it can be kind of cumbersome having so many wonderful films together, you know, in one period. What I would like is I would like the filmmakers to, you know, maybe each talk a little bit about their particular film, what's it, give us a little synopsis of the film and your motivation for each particular project. So shall we maybe begin with, or we can go alphabetical order, I guess, but we don't have Antonio from Abiquiu. We don't have Ashley, right? But yeah, Ashley's not here, but we do have Ben Gallegos. Boom walks into a bar. I got a real kick out of this. One of the things I really liked about this selection of films that especially pleased me is how the very distinct cultures of the Southwest, particularly New Mexico and Colorado, really had a voice and some wonderful representation beyond any stereotypes that we're used to basically kind of neglect, but beyond stereotypes. And I thought that was really wonderful with your film, Ben. Could you talk a little bit about your journey? It seems like this is mostly kind of a very successful promotional piece for your work as a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, it was originally it was a promotional piece. It was kind of an art project. I'm far from a filmmaker, and I'm honored to be in the group with all these awesome filmmakers, but I'm just an artist. And so as an artist, I think we have a special eye for certain details and just looking at the world in a special way. And with my partner Millie, what we wanted to do was create an image of us walking from rural Western Colorado over the divide and down into Denver. And if you're familiar with Colorado at all, it's the Continental Divide runs right through the middle of the state. And we reside on the west slope, but we were on our way to a comedy show on the eastern slope. And so it's one thing, we wanted to showcase the beauty of the state. We wanted to make it, just create an artistic atmosphere of this guy, me, walking all the way, and with this little hop in his step, with a little bit of style, with just kind of just oblivious to the world, but still kind of just like enjoying it at the same time.
I want to thank you because sometimes of late I've wondered, where have all the Pachucos gone? And your piece just really updated that for me. So thank you. Very fond kind of memory of that, but really the panache and the bravado of the walk was really interesting. And I'm surprised you haven't done film before. You really captured a nice feeling, for the journey and arriving. Did you make a conscious decision as you began the film, before you began the film, that you weren't going to tell a joke? I was waiting for at least a little one-liner, but I can see how this would be a perfect way for you to project it right as you come on the stage.
Exactly. And one of the things in stand-up comedy is we don't like to tell our jokes because we don't want it to be ruined for if anyone sees us live. So that's kind of a tip that I learned. And Jimmy Abeda, I don't know if he's a Denver comic, a mentor of mine. And so he's the one that I should have gave him credit on the film. I didn't put it actually in the credits, but he introduced me to the stage. But yeah, it was designed we consciously wanted to create this image, and then it leads up to the bar, or it leads up to the comedy club. And that's just kind of where it was to end. And we just kind of, I don't know, it's one of those happenstance type of things that kind of works out. And I think as artists, we kind of go with the flow a lot of times, and we're like, wow, I didn't think that was going to be as cool as it was. And we're like, wow, I like it. We're going to stick with that. And we're going to go with it. You just got to go.
Oh yeah. I mean, the new technologies are, so accessible. that it's really, incredible what can be done and the quality involved in that, My filmmaking days were on 16 millimeter, and man, it is so, it just amazes me how amazing, the easy and fun the tools are. And it's great to see your piece that's having so much fun with it, you could really feel that through.
And the big part of
Emily
the, a big part of the, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that the major part of it was really the song that went with it that my partner and I composed. We Shine Together, and it's a message of this guy, and the song we thought was perfect, and we wanted to showcase the song because we think the song has a great message for diversity and for acceptance of everything that's around us. And it's really a vibration, a vibe that we want to promote through jewelry, because we are jewelers as well, through jewelry, through music, through visual, as you can see in the film, or some of you, if you haven't watched it yet, when you do watch it, you'll see that we saturated the colors a certain way so that it made everything a little bit more vibrant. And it was just, it went with the frequency of the music, with the visuals, and I don't know, it worked out beautifully. I almost don't even know how.
No, I agree with you. The music, also is such a wonderful hybrid, piece. You could feel the indigenous rhythms there, and then the Chicano accent along happening with it. Really a wonderful selection. So you have you're really the main character, but you have a wonderful interchange with Emily, who we also have here. Emily, could you tell us a little bit about this piece coming together and your participation in it?
Sure. Well, pretty much Boom gets ideas and he says, let's do this, let's try this. And I say, sure, let's go for it. And there's always just sort of this magic that happens in the process. And this was definitely one of those projects. We were heading to Denver and he said, I have this idea, let's film along the road. And I am definitely not as out in the world as he is. I'm much more shy and reserved. And so standing in the middle of the highway, off of Eisenhower Tunnel and off of Vail Pass and all these things, that was a stretch for me. But we're out there just filming, hoping for the best that this is going to turn out. And I think it turned out wonderfully. We were both really surprised with that. Just kind of this journey of a man, coming from one place and going to another, and just the whole message of shining. But yeah, right. It's an honor to be a part of it, and we were both just sort of completely honored and blown away being selected for this. And I think it was one of those things where it's like, let's just trust and see what happens. And it happened. And then the ending part where we just have this little, I don't even know, probably 30-second clip where we're in the diner just kind of doing our shtick. I don't even think, we just had the camera on the table. I don't think either one of us really even remembered that we were recording, just kind of doing this thing at 1:30 in the morning. And as we were editing the video, it was just sort of like, should we put this in there? And we both kind of looked at each other like, why not? Let's do it. And as people watch it, a lot of people, that's kind of their favorite part of the whole video. So it's just, it's happenstance. I mean, I can't explain it any other than magic.
So how did you guys get together and begin your collaboration?
Oh, wow.
Especially coming from the Western slope there.
Right. Well, we met each other about 5 years ago and just had a lot of similar interests, both in terms of art, and the work that we do, we both work with kids, and just really clicked. There was just kind of a chemistry and an alchemy between us that, as we pursue jewelry and music and art, like I said, it's just sort of like one of us will have an idea and it's like, let's just sort of see what happens, and it happens. So
wonderful. I'm so happy to see that your voice is coming out, and hopefully, invading the whole state and the Southwest and the rest of the country and the world soon, because a very successful piece and wonderful chemistry there, in the film, which is really one of the challenges of doing a short film is really somehow evoking, especially evoking, that kind of humor in a concentrated period of time. I thought all of these films, really, really accomplished that. Do we have Junior Robinson with Danza Azteca? Are you here, Junior?
No.
Oh, no, he's not here? Okay. Another wonderful film, if you get to see it, including, it's so wonderful to see, our elder danzantes, Carlos Casineda and Lorenzo Ramirez, that were in the film. I'm so, happy that that's such an important part of this festival and so wonderfully presented. We got Andrew here, along with himself, and there's only two people in the film. But Andrew, I got to thank you too, man. That was not what I expected at all in your film. And, kind of the emotions and, some real subtleties. I thought the bedroom scene with the kind of, you could sense the slightedness of the moment, a little bit, and then just the charm of entering and the use of just your small little set there. Basically, you've got the bedroom and the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was another thing that really worked well is there was such a sensuality, to the piece in a lot of ways, and particularly, the image of, I was imagining, really warm water coming out during the scene, and how difficult it would be while you're taking a shower, the subtlety of feeling that you would need to see what was going on. How did you come up with that? I mean, with your piece, I mean, you just packed so much in that, what is it, just 2 minutes. Talk to us a little bit about that, and I'm hoping everybody got to see everybody's films, because really it's so encouraging for the future of filmmaking and short films. But yeah, tell us a little bit about this idea.
So Consent it was one of those stories that I had in my back pocket, and it's based on something I went through with an ex, and it just made me think about where consent falls when you're in a relationship and you've been together for a long time, and you're used to each other's quirks and all this and that. There still are some things that require consent, and it was a funny way to tell a story and bring up that question, and hopefully get the audience to laugh and have a good time, but then also think about, like, there are those moments that no matter how long you've been with someone, you need to get consent before doing some things. And before we started filming, I've been fortunate to have a good group of friends and collaborators, and before starting to film this, we actually decided to make it official, and we started Amorosos Media just to support each other in bringing brown and the voices of people of color onto the stage and screen. And the opportunity came up for this Outfest Fusion short film contest, and we decided to do it, and it was amazing. I had Cesar and Brandon were amazing as my actors, and they came in and they were just 100% committed, even though not everyone would have been as committed as they were, considering what's going on in the film. But it was great. We had a fantastic time, and a lot of those nuances that you're talking about really just came from them understanding the characters and the story, and what we wanted to present. So, yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed it. We have Cesar here too, right?
Cesar and Brent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
do you guys want to talk a little bit about the making of this and the toil of 2 minutes?
Brandon, do you want to go first?
Sure. I actually said yes before I read the script. Our friend was
Yeah,
like,
that was smart.
"You're looking for an actor," and I was like, "Heck yeah, I love acting." And then I read the script and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to ruin it for anyone if you haven't watched it." And so at that point, I was like, "Oh man, I need to read things before I agree to them." But I was like, "Well, I'm cool with this. This is really, really fun." And I was like, well, I really love these people and they're really nice folks. And I know that, Cesar is really like chill. So it was really not a difficult process. It was more fun. I think the most difficult thing about it was the technicalities of it because, you're shooting and there's a shower and you're also with a lot of like wires and cameras and electricity. And you're like, oh shoot, we have to get this shot fast and we can't get this equipment wet. Otherwise it's gonna like get all messed up. And as far as like intimacy goes with me and Cesar, like I didn't feel any kind of way about that.
I'm sorry, you didn't feel, Kuma?
I didn't feel any kind of way or any like awkwardness between me and Cesar to have those like intimate moments. Because it was just like, Cesar's just Cesar to me.
I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or not. I don't know. I'll take it as a compliment though. I'll do that acrobatics for you. Don't worry.
Well, the shower was the perfect size, man. I mean, location scouting to get that.
Honestly, yeah, it really was. We were like, after we shot it, we were talking about how.
Oh, lost audio.
Oh, no.
No, I lost audio.
Yeah, I think it's frozen.
Okay, looks like it's back, hopefully.
It's frozen, so go ahead and move to keep going until we get him back. Oh, there you are, Cesar. You want to try again?
Yeah, sorry about that. It was just I was just saying that we were talking about in the end how we were kind of happy that it did turn out to be Brandon because if it was someone about the same size as me, then it would have been a little bit harder to maneuver the shower scene. It would not have been easy. We got really lucky. It worked out fine. But yeah, and actually I'm a little surprised that there was no awkwardness between us. Like it was just chill and like nothing. Like it was really easy to do.
And are both of you working actors?
Yes. Yes.
Well, this will be a wonderful piece to share, and it's always great when you have a piece that in such a short time packs such a wonderful surprise. Really very enjoyable. Shall we go to Orlando? We have here from In My Attic as well. In my attic. This was also just a really beautiful piece. I still have the image of the wonderful of the room that you shot it in, the wonderful light coming in, from the windows, and just the beauty and the gracefulness of your dance, as as well as the music. Orlando, could you tell us a little bit about this production of In My Attic?
Yeah, so In My Attic, I've always wanted to do something artistic and collaborate with Morgan. Morgan is a friend of mine, and she herself is a very talented dancer. And one day I came across this studio, and to me, something drew me towards it, and the setting of it made me want to do something dancing related to it. So I reached out, and then me and Morgan collaborated to find out what is the kind of story we can tell in this setting, and what is it that we're kind of like reading from it. And I got attic vibes, and so I think with the whole attic, and we ended up getting the chance to use the song from Camila Covington, White Kia, and we were able to develop a story of this female character trying to like manage her own feelings and memories of a past relationship, and trying to focus on the beauty from that relationship. And we tried our best to incorporate the props to enhance, or at least to give us more of an insight as to what she's feeling on the inside.
Morgan, could you talk a little bit about your choreography in developing this dance? Have you done a lot of music videos, or is this a newer experience for you?
So I've done performing since I was about 5, but this was the first film I've done. So I've done live performances mostly. Orlando did actually do my first dance film of a choreographed piece in a different style. So when he reached out to me about this, I was really excited. Like he explained, like we really pulled from that vision, and the lyrics of the song really portray the variety of emotions that a person can hold towards a relationship in their past, both fondness and positive things, but also harder things and rough moments, but kind of just appreciating the entirety of the experience. And so I really tried to let the music inspire the movement, and tried to let that aid in what the music was already providing to the audience. So the choreographing was my first film experience, and it was definitely exciting.
So when you're choreographing it, do you spontaneously kind of begin to move as the music inspires you, or do you have a planned out kind of sequence of movements beforehand?
Good question. I definitely usually listen to a song a few times through before. Oh, apologies. I definitely listen to the song a few times through before I start choreographing, so that I can hear the different hits in the music and the different instruments. And then I allow my body to kind of move from there. I think the beautiful thing about music is that the instruments are usually, or I guess I should say the lyrics are usually paired with the instruments in a way. So I really like choreographing specifically to music. So I typically tend to listen to the music first before I begin choreographing something. Although, it depends, but I really just listened to the song a few times and then kind of went into my own studio space and went into my world and let my body feel what the music was portraying.
Well, it seems like you guys have a really good natural kind of collaboration in terms of your working together. Is that just kind of natural, communication link, that you have together, or how to work? It just comes out very naturally. It's so lovely, really.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting because I actually met Orlando on my last day of college. We graduated the same year, but had never really crossed paths. And I always joke around like that was kind of like universal fate for us to be able to collab in the future. And I think what is a good thing is that me and him have very similar goals with how we want our art to be portrayed, how we want it to feel, who we want it to reach. And so when you have things in common and you have goals that you can both agree upon, it allows for easier collaboration and more open-mindedness in the beginning stages when you're offering ideas.
How did you guys make, because one of the other characters is the clothing, right? How did you decide on your costume and work that out, or how did that happen? How do you navigate that?
It was definitely something we talked about, the idea of the attic that Orlando mentioned, and what would you find in an attic? What would you keep in there? And the weight that a article of holding can hold, as far as a memory, right? You see a jacket and it belongs to someone, you see memories of them in that jacket that you shared with them. So there's definitely personification with clothing. So I think we tried to portray those different memories through that. For example, the dress was supposed to portray even though there were moments of hardness that we experienced earlier in the video, harsher memories, when you see that dress, even with the harshness, you're brought to a memory of happiness, a memory of that's cherished, and wanting to keep that, even though you know that the chapter is over and you're moving on. So,
right. And your own, you know, the white T-shirt and the shorts. You know, I remember it really was when I expected. I think it was, you know, perfect for the film. Clearing out, it was kind of clearing out the attic look, you know.
Yeah.
So I found that, you know, really interesting. It added a little a surprise, you know, to then just go into the dance. Orlando, anything that you want to say about this kind of collaboration? And I hope you guys are going to continue.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. So as for that article of clothing, we tried to carefully decide what is something that she would be wearing comfortably in her own space, in her own private space, because we are entering in her own internal sense of vulnerability. And we kind of wanted the attic to be a metaphor of what's going on inside of her head. So we're kind of like in her head space, where she, again, holds all these treasured memories and also like what you're holding on to and what you're packing up to then like probably move on and take away from you. And we also discussed like with her pink socks, we wanted to make sure like our eyes gravitate at least towards the direction of her feet, so we can at least be concentrated on her movement, because that is the main highlight of this whole piece that's driving us across this whole story and across not only the story, but the frame itself. So throughout the cinematic shots, we also wanted to make sure that also the movement of the camera is motivated from her, like we're being pulled into where she wants us to go in the scene. And also, yeah, that all that had a lot of like careful calculations, especially with the mirror. We had to carefully measure and angle it right so we can see the mannequin in the reflection when she reveals the reflection. And then when she even adjusts it back to her own reflection, we wanted to make sure that she is now like giving us a signal that she is concentrating now on herself more than that person or idea that's consuming more of her mindset.
Well, it's a wonderful theme and just a really, you know, graceful, moving production. So congratulations and thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Can we talk a little bit? Can we talk a little bit about Promise and Cipriano Ortega? Very local. We're just a few blocks away, probably.
Around the corner there. Yeah, I'd love to talk about
Northsider, good to see you, Cipriano. I really enjoyed your piece. I thought that it had a very the melody was really very haunting, and I assume that you kind of came up with. Did you come up with the song first?
Yes. Yeah. The song was written. Yeah, the song, all of it. Not to brag, but just how it kind of came out. But the song was written, the film, and then the lyrics were written, and then the film was filmed all in one day. There was something about this particular.
Really, you did that all in one day?
Yeah. There was something about everything lining up for it to just execute. So from such a place, it almost felt like it was coming from something that was out of body, both the lyrics and just the melody itself and just the overall feeling of it. And quite honestly, because I'm a tenor in terms of a vocalist, but it's a little bit lower in my range too. So it's interesting to play around with that different kind of vocal performance as well too, kind of that lo-fi, because it's of course a different kind of microphone that I use for that as well too, to convey that kind of emotion. But yeah, it was just a very interesting time to capture all that kind of emotion for sure.
Did you have a camera person?
Yes.
Camera operator?
My partner, Rick HM, we were just spending the summer together when I filmed that, and I just recently, when I first got this 2-string slide bass, or one of them, I was just playing around with it, and I came up with this kind of arrangement, and I was like, that sounds cool, and then one thing led to the other, and I was just like, can you film, me doing these certain things, and it just all came together beautifully. So yeah.
So then your visualization occurred right on the same day.
Yeah.
And could you talk a little bit about, your decapitated head on a shelf is always,
Exactly. Yeah.
kind of a striking draw, and certainly, the other projected, material in back. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your inspiration and motivation for making this?
Yeah, I
Or
mean, a lot
because
of,
it sounds like so much of it was really kind of divinely inspired,
yeah,
to
yeah,
do all of that
exactly,
in one
that kind of
day.
was, it came from somewhere for sure. I think in terms of the visual representation of everything, I think a big part of it was just the lyrical content and also just the mood itself, because ever since I was a kid, and it says in the statement as well too, I have this kind of furrowed brow, this very indigenous kind of face, and my mom's side of the family is from Tejas, Texas, and we have a lot of Apache in us as well too, and my grandfather as well too. He passed away last year in December. But if you look at him and you look at me and you look at my mom and you look at that side of my family, we all have a very intense kind of look about us. And my point is, ever since middle school and high school, I've always been seen that way. So I always kind of felt like I was always on display. So that's kind of where the decapitated head kind of came into the sense of just trying to also talk about that, but then also go to how the indigenous people were treated through colonialization and scalping and etc. And not just through indigenous cultures, but in many cultures, decapitating, the enemy and putting them on display. And obviously the stock footage in the back is a very stereotypical cowboys, Indians, the promise train, the wagon train going on, and the Indians, coming in and destroying this white visualization of, paradise or whatever, this, Western expansion kind of thing as well too. So there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of subtleties when it comes to that film. So yeah, that's kind of where a lot of that came from. Yeah.
Well, wonderful. It was a great experience to see it, and a great accomplishment. Usually filmmakers have a lot of assistance, but you're just putting it all together on your own, pretty much. It sounds like.
Yeah, I like the minimalist approach, and I like the improvisation and the impromptu, because I do make a lot of music and I do have a lot of more produced ideas that I have for a lot of songs that I'll be releasing hopefully in the next couple of years. But for things like this, the little vignettes, if I feel the gumption to visualize this beyond just the sonic field, I'm just going to go for it. I'll just grab my cameras and I'll just go on location and I'll just use what I have around me. And I kind of like that lo-fi kind of, DIY kind of approach. And of course, as well as, having professional stuff as well too, because I like doing both. But for now, it's just enjoyable. It's very rewarding for sure.
Yeah, well, it should be. I mean,
it's just so immediate. What were you saying?
Well, I was just wondering about the sequencing of it, though. Are you, focused on the music, or are you already anticipating kind of a visualization, with a theme that you're interested in? Like,
that's a very good question. Yeah, because the way I work, I'm a very visual person. So when I write lyrics or when I compose music, I honestly see it very visually. I see it almost very cinematically, because all of my background comes from musical theater and film. Like the first music that I ever really listened to was just a lot of film scores. So like Inicio Marcioni from The Mission, that's one thing that I really think about. So Taxi Driver as well too. So all these films that the music very much is part of the storytelling. So whenever I'm composing and doing these things, I can visually pretty much always see lyrically what I'm trying to convey with words. But then also if I want to represent it through film, I pretty much know what direction to go. Typically, not always, but yeah. So.
Well, you're mapping out some, wonderful territory with enormous, multimedia abilities. So congratulations
on
that.
It's a huge honor to finally be part of this. I've always watched a lot of the films all through the coming years of many different versions of this festival, and it's nice to be part of it. So I'm very much grateful.
Well, it sounds like you also have a lot of influences. You want to talk about? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the biggest influence for me, the number one film for me is Taxi Driver. And
Really?
again, it's more so the storytelling of one perspective of one character.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And then it's also the film noir kind of influence as well, too, that kind of gritty, again, lo-fi kind of approach. And of course, sonically, with Bernard Herrmann working with, Martin Scorsese, but also Alfred Hitchcock. So there's very kind of a Hitchcock influence as well, too, in a lot of my stuff as well, too. It's kind of just trying to convey a vintage time that I feel always it's been within me. Like there's definitely the Chicanismo part of it as well too, and just the indigenous part. So almost reclaiming that. So the 2-string slide bass, not in this particular film, but in other films, I kind of have a Pachuco kind of look that's kind of my own interpretation as well too. So it's combining all these different things, beat poetry, as well too, and just minimalistic music, and then kind of blending spoken word with poetry into music. So all these different venues for sure. Definitely.
Well, this is a wonderful time for you because, for example, we're learning so much that was, hidden and is coming out. I think of Genízaro, a few years ago, nobody was talking about that.
Right.
And yet it's such a central part of, our identities.
Mhm.
So in so many ways that's happening. And it's so important that we have young artists that are interpreting that for us. So thank you.
I just try to
Congratulations.
find. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. What you said is very powerful because I'm just trying to find the interconnectedness. Because like playing with a slide and playing a 2-stringed instrument comes from, the blues influence and the diddly bows that people would make, back in the day when when blues was a really big kind of music thing for Black musicians. So, but I also there's another film I'm sure you're familiar with it, but called Rumble. And that's about Native American indigenous influence with that music as well too. So the Black and indigenous and Mexican sonic fields definitely blend together. And that's another one of my attempts, is trying to just revive that and show people there isn't so much division. It's a lot of this cultural connection through sonic fields. And I want to obviously involve music with that, and then film as well too. So yeah, definitely.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mhm.
Can we can we talk a little bit about Salvando al Salvador? And we have 2 representatives here, right? Luis Maria Gonzalez and someone else, right?
Hello. Yes. We have Andre Fernandez, who is a producer, and then we have Kim Carlson, who is one of our 3 protagonists.
Okay, wonderful. Well, shame on you. Give it only in terms of, you start out and it's so tragic, and unfortunately there's so much, we're inundated with so much tragedy and conflict. But you really managed to have some terrible fun with it.
We did.
Can you talk a little bit to us as if we were kind of a therapist trying to understand, bridging, that deadly, tragic reality with the very funny comedy, including, great animation in your film?
Thank you. Sure. So the film, for those who you've not seen it, is about 3 sisters who are unable to acquire a death certificate for their recently deceased father. And so they kind of take matters in their own hands. And it was inspired by the real life events like around my grandfather's passing, and some of the obstacles and experiences that my mother and her sisters had to go through. So what I wanted to do was kind of turn it into this like tragic comedy. Like I as a filmmaker, I wanted to dive into like comedy for a minute now. I find it to be the hardest genre, so I just wanted to take on that challenge. And also I think, what was that?
Is this your first comedy?
It is.
Oh, wonderful. What kind of work, or how were you working before this one?
Mostly drama stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I just wanted to, I guess, find some lightness in the topic, and just, comedy and sometimes is a way of dealing with grief. So that's what we wanted to explore.
Yeah, well, it was a really darkly humorous piece, with a lot of laughs. I also, have to say that animation just, fit in so well with that, and really wonderful rapport, especially with the three sisters. Could you talk and also your other comadre talk a little bit about this production and making this come to life?
Of course. Kim, do you want to take this question?
Sure. It was really quite remarkable. I'll never forget walking into the audition and, just kind of feeling that the role that I was reading for, Bonnie, I was like, gosh, this is kind of me in some weird way. And I think the other two sisters, it was really kind of them in real life as well. And walking in where we kind of met each other for the first time at the first rehearsal, and we're standing around going, wow, we could actually maybe even be sisters. So
right, yeah.
It was one of those things that it was a bit of just fate that brought us together. We all found a little piece of ourselves. And we also were very lucky to watch some video that Louisa had actually taken of the three sisters describing the events to her, which also I think brought the connection even closer.
Yeah, could you I found really interesting is, it's a Salvadorian story, or, origins, but, doing it in El Norte and also in English is usually, for me, a little off-putting. But I think you were really successful at it, because it, and also with the, lubricant of the humor, it just really conveyed, I think, a genuine empathy for, the really, sad situation that's existing throughout the Americas.
Yeah, so it was, I appreciate that.
About deciding to do it, that way.
Yeah, so we started production or pre-production in December of 2019, and this was shot in March of 2020. And it was actually shot during the days where we were getting all these notifications of like these big events like South by Southwest getting canceled because of coronavirus. So it was a little bit off-putting in terms of like timing and, the situation at hand. But yeah, I hope that like people can find maybe some like levity with everything that's going on, and see it as a way to, deal with grief if they are dealing with that.
Well, that's certainly a good recipe for today, for these times. So, thank you for a piece that, manages to communicate the miserable, character of that particular circumstance, which you can kind of relate, to so many other issues we don't usually think of, not having the proper identification, to be able to do a burial like that. But, it just represents the dire circumstances of so much of happening, in the New World, well, throughout the world. And then managing to get some great humor and quite a few laughs into it. I know how hard it is, to accomplish so many things together. Was that a newer experience for you than your dramatic work, or how do you compare that? And what do you think of your what's your direction going forward?
I don't know. I'm not too sure right now, just because there's so much uncertainty. But I'd love to keep, get working in comedy, drama, maybe even like starting to steer into TV, like sitcom, something like it. So,
How about online? Has that made a big difference in your work? The fact that there's so much distribution possibilities of, getting in front of people, and yet there's still these real obstacles, high obstacles in terms of, being able to produce.
As far as producing goes, I haven't actually tried producing anything during the last year since we've been working on this, but it has been kind of a silver lining with everything that's been happening, because I think we've been able to connect with a lot more people with all of these like online streaming opportunities than we would have maybe before everything happened. So yeah, we're still trying to, I guess, figure that out. Andre is in New York and getting into a lot more productions than I have this past year. So maybe he can talk about a little bit of the production side.
Yes, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been working at a rental house, so like seeing a lot more productions kind of just like being made, and how to see kind of the industry come back alive during these kind of hard times. It's interesting because I know Luisa also asking a question beforehand. It was kind of a relationship between her and I making the film, where it was our second time working together, and it was an absolute like honor to be part of this film. And it's interesting because I'm hoping to be able to hopefully produce something for Luisa again, wherever kind of life takes us. And more than that, it's just an honor to be in this industry, because the biggest thing is that like we're just constantly trying to tell these stories that are very, very, very important to us. And it's just even better to feel this kind of reciprocation that people can also kind of resonate and kind of find some sort of part in themselves in these stories that we're wanting to tell. But yeah.
So are you guys continue
yeah
this collaboration? How does that work for you?
Hopefully, we're in different cities right now. Andre is in New York and I am in Austin. But hopefully soon we'll get reunited together with Kim as well.
Well, congratulations. I think this is one last question. How have you been getting the film, and what kind of audience responses have you had?
Well, this is actually our very first festival. We just wrapped with post-production in mid-March. So we're about to kick our festival run. So hopefully positive. I am a little bit nervous just because of the topic at hand and the current, the current situation with all the death and whatnot. But I hope that people are able to see it as something independent, and also something that was produced a whole lot before everything happened.
Well, it has a lot of corazon to it, and so I think that's going to be your saving grace. And to hell with those who can't appreciate, the dark humor around us. So, again, congratulations, and what an honor for us to really be kind of a premiere for it here at XicanIndie. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for including us.
No, absolutely. Can we talk a little bit with Rob Garcia and about the film Silencio? And I guess we also have the sound and actors with us. I found the film had a really, wonderful creepiness about it. I actually saw it without reading, the synopsis for it. So, I think that helps clarify things, because otherwise when you're viewing it, it feels Well, I guess probably like the mental state of you as the main character and filmmaker. Can you talk a little bit about about it and that particular subject, and your use of the color in the black and white, and this thin line between paranoia and your actual day-to-day.
Yeah. Well, Silencio, I categorize it because it's kind of, when submitting to different things, you kind of figure out where you want to, the niche and where you want to submit it to. So I'm categorizing it as a psychological drama of the dismantling of one man's seemingly happy family. And the backstory on this is that about 14 years ago, I started all of a sudden having these weird, vivid dreams that were so real that when I woke up, I could actually remember every part of the dream. And I was having these different dreams that were really unrelated. And I didn't know, and it just, went on for about 6 months or so. And around that time, I was producing a feature film with a good friend of mine, Dora Pena, that Jesse Borrego starred in. It's called Dream Healing. And it was also about dreams and different, about this little girl who could heal people's insomnia by absorbing what they were feeling during dreams. And during that time, during production of that film, I was diagnosed with a meningioma brain tumor.
Oh.
And that kind of threw me for a loop. And I mean, when you're, first of all, you hear brain tumor, first of all, it's, cancerous, you have all these different emotions and stuff. And I was like, whoa, this is something that, kind of made me feel that all these dreams were about something. But I mean, and all these dreams, like I said, they don't, they're all independent dreams. But with this one, Silencio, I actually tried to film it around that time as well. And eventually with Valerie Garza, who plays the mother Cristal in the film, I originally approached her as playing the teenage daughter because that's how long ago it was that it took me to actually film it. And I had to give the actors a backstory for it, because on my own, I was also trying to figure out what it actually meant, why I was having this dream and this particular dream and the things that were happening within this dream. So I gave TJ Gonzalez, who is a frequent collaborator and actor in a lot of my short films, the backstory that he's a middle-aged professor, driving, out in the middle of nowhere. He stops at a diner and befriends this, young waitress who she's ready to get out of that little town, and she sees him as her way out. So, she, follows him, gets, back to the big city. He starts his career. She never loved him, but that was her thing of getting out of that town. That was her way. And all this time, Franco Dañado, and that's his last name is Dañado. So the name Dañado kind of gives you a little bit of insight as to what the family is. There's a damaged family. So he starts, for the whole time, he thinks that it's just a normal all-American family, but he doesn't see, or towards the end, he starts to see that how sadistic his family is and what he is actually living in. But I wanted to give it and let the audience make up their own decision of whether is it actually a dream? Is it something psychological, something mental that he's going through, that he's seeing all these different things? And the way, I, approached James Borrego as my cinematographer, and we talked about how I wanted to film it. And the first thing was that it had to be in black and white, because people dream in black and white, or at least that's what I've been told. And I wanted the images to be vivid with the shadows, and I got a little bit of Hitchcock on that, having it in black and white and having the shadows, and then also at times kind of going in and out of focus, because I wanted to give it that dreamy feel. And since there's only one word spoken in the whole film, which is silencio, I tapped my friend Federico, who I had worked on that feature with Jesse Borrego, and he had done the score for that one, to see if we could work together with this film, and he graciously accepted, and he wrote all the music to the film, and he wrote and composed different songs, different themes for the actual feel of the film. And I'm just so glad that I had these, wonderful friends and wonderful actors that actually helped me put this dream together. And luckily, the brain tumor wasn't cancerous, but I did have to go through several years of physical therapy, different things and stuff, and I was able to finally, produce this after 14 years. So if they want to jump in on it, Federico, if you want to jump in a little bit on what the music portion of it.
Oh yeah, it's creepy.
Thank you. I just wanna let you know that Rob is a normal guy. Don't worry. There's nothing wrong.
Doesn't have anything to do with the film.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. No, when Rob spoke about the work, he was, and this is my composer or sound side of my approach to this production is, and it always happen very often, you get married as a producer with the temp track, and he was using beautiful music. I wish I could do something like that. Classical stuff. Then after a certain time of listening certain tracks, you get married with that track, with that sound. And when it comes to make it sound or trying to jump from what you've been working with for 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, it's very hard. So very first, because of the story, I had to watch it like 3 or 4 times to understand what's going on. And then what I went, because of my setup, I was able to start mocking up on the fly, because 95% of the time, at least in my personal experience, the ideas, the rhythm, the cinematic connection between what you're looking at and what's getting to your ears, it's what it actually works. So when you start trying to get this certain sound for certain scene, it's because you already know what is happening or what's the director's desire or, I don't know, commands for certain sections. In this case, Rob gave me the liberty to work out whatever I felt. So as a composer, it's not that I want to showcase that I'm very good doing scales or playing the drums or doing solos with the guitar. The music, it's, the art of sounds and silences. And sometimes silence it's more important. The spaces in between the sounds is also music. So I started working with the music. I sent him, I think, 2 corrections only were done at the end. And obviously, because this is a silent movie, that means the only dialogue, not dialogue, it's TJ.
Screaming. Really, it's just me screaming. That's all it is.
Screaming. It's a screaming silencio at the end of the movie. The rest of it, it's audio. So because I was working both sound design and composing, I was able to find the balance in between the full soundtrack that for me, in this particular case, it's the music and the sound design embed. It's not always that opportunity comes that often, because you need to work as a composer with certain sound designer, or the opposite. When you do sound design, you need you get the music and you know the first time that the music is not going to work. You listen to, as I was telling you before, beautiful music that was probably composed before the scenes were matched or edited. Even the editing is music also. You need some space, and sometimes what you are mostly when you have locked picture is not matching, and it's a universal joke in the music area. They always tell you music is 50% of the production. They never give you 50% of the budget. But if you don't have a track that works and helps you feel what you're watching through your ears, it's not working. So it doesn't matter that the music sounds amazing when you listen to it. If it's not working against what you're watching or what you're looking at, or it's not giving you the or generating the sensations you as a filmmaker were envisioning, feel free to move it, ask for a change, or probably you get the wrong directions. It's valid to make changes in the music that way, but unfortunately, because of music is not expensive. The problem is libraries are cheaper lately, so you get the chance to get music, very very good music that sometimes is not going to work. In this case, I had the liberty of doing whatever I wanted, and it worked very well for the movie. Thank you, Rob. I liked the work. He's again. I clarify. He's doing good. He's a good guy, but I had to watch it a couple of times because it's a very profound. For me, at the beginning, it was a mystery. You guys need to watch it.
And getting the two main actors with TJ and Valerie was really big.
Yeah.
I've worked with both of them several times with on different productions, and putting Valerie through the scenes that, I don't know how many of you guys have watched it yet, but the scenes that I put Valerie through to go from the young June Cleaver type look that we had at the beginning to the alcoholic, just raunchy wife at the end. And it's all given through what she does in the film, and then through her laughter and her feel for the character. So Val, I don't know if you want to chime in a little bit on that. Can you hear me, Val?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
Is my
Yeah.
sound on? Okay. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
Sure.
It was just
Valerie, you want to
interesting
talk a
to
little
see
bit?
it. Let me get this. I have it on my. Is that any better?
A little bit, yeah.
Let me try.
Yeah, speak up, please.
About there. Is that any better?
There you go.
Yeah, much better.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
We got you.
I had it on my Bluetooth in my car. Yeah, I know it was just interesting. Well, from one, you asked me to be the daughter at first, and then later, waiting all that time to actually play the wife was interesting. But it was it was a lot of fun to do. What's that?
Oh, nothing. I was making fun of you.
Oh. But yeah, then watching it later, once everything was composed and everything was put together, it was like, holy cow, this came from Rob's mind. Like, this is wild and very dark, but also it's provocative. And I think that's the most important thing. And, as far as like acting in it, it's like, that's what what you want, what you're going for during the moments that you're filming. But yeah. It was dark. I had to go back to like 10 years in my 20s, and like, how would I have acted if I was out in the bars?
Yeah. And it worked. I mean, or at least I hope it worked. Yeah. If I leave audiences feeling like, what did I just watch, and making their own decisions on what it was, I think we did our job as far as putting the film together. And You know, for the most part, I think it does do that. And like I said, I mean, I have these great.
Yeah,
I'm lucky that I have these great friends that I can pull from, you know, to work on my project.
One of those things that a project such as this, because it's very hard to actually get through from the actor standpoint, reacting without dialogue, looking on at something that is completely foreign to you in so many ways, and have that appropriate reaction. And so it's good for directors to push actors in those ways, to go ahead and reach deep down into the toolkit, for lack of a better term, to kind of pull that out. Because I cut my teeth. I'm from Austin originally. Hey, Austin Gentes, go Maroons, woohoo! And you know, at Esther's Follies, which is comedy, Live Oak, Cap City, Playhouse, and Comedy Club, and so doing something like this, coming from just sheer stupid fun comedy, you have to reach down in your toolkit for things like that. So it's always good for a director to have that, you know, have that person they can go to and to pull into a project and kind of push their boundaries, and so they can move the needle for the actors themselves. And so that, you know, that was a great thing that Rob did for us, was to put us into that situation with this creepy AF storyline that they have going on. So it is humanity unraveling in a sense, if you want to put it into you know, into a lead for that film. It is humanity unraveling, and what is going to be a reaction. Either way, there's going to be some type of mental violence that happens with it, and that, I think that's the cool part about the story. And you know, and that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, absolutely.
One I thought really, you know, remarkable moment, you know, Rob, in the film was the
We lost you.
I think we're losing him.
What's
You
that?
froze, Daniel.
Am I breaking
You
up?
froze up.
Oh,
Yeah, you froze.
Back.
I was talking about the burp as kind of the kickoff to all of the crazy, and it just you know, represented how intricate part, you know, the sound and the, you know, music design, you know, was for the film, and it's such a great moment because, you know, it's such a real family kind of moment. There's kind of this, you know, there's something, you know, abrupt and gross about it, but yet, you know, the family reaction and all of that was a really, you know, wonderful transition for the rest of the film.
Yeah, and that was an important thing for me. That was an important thing for me, was to have that moment where the family is, you can see them, that through his eyes everything's loving, everything's funny, you know, they're laughing, you know, the family's sitting around. When he first gets there, he sees them and everybody's having a good time, and then, you know, the burp happens and she starts to laugh, and then right after that is when everything changes, and you see that in their eyes. And that was the other thing too. I don't know if you were able to get that in every scene, whether it's the young kids or them as teenagers, or Cristal as, you know, the young version of her and then the old version of her, they're always in the same, the viewpoint is always the same. So when they turn to the father, to Franco, it's either from this direction or from this direction. So, you know, there's always that, you know, and then we're able to cut it from the young to the teenagers, you know, from the young to the older version, and that affects his reaction as well. So I hope that came across, you know, through that. So that's our little film, and like I said, there's 4 more. So hopefully I'll be submitting those to you guys at the film festival in the next couple of years. Yeah, we'll get those. We'll
look forward to it. And,
yeah. The next one, hopefully by the end of the second one will be filmed hopefully by the end of this year, and that is it's called Transmute, and it's the relationship between this young dancer and a clown, and that's pretty much as far as I'll go. And it's in the same genre as Silencio, so there's some eeriness to it as well, which was part of the whole thing of my of this episode of my
we look
life.
forward to.
Well, thank you, and I always loved going out there. I don't know if you remember, we took Las Tesoras de San Antonio there 4 years ago. I was the editor and one of the producers for that film. We love Sutrato, going out there.
Yeah, no, and Todd Gonzalez, TJ, or
Yeah,
that was a difficult role.
Yeah, you're telling me, man.
Yeah, how did you navigate that?
So I don't know if anyone's seen it. No, it and like I said earlier about pulling stuff out of your toolkit. It's about using that reaction without dialogue to push you through. There's no interaction for the most part, except for feeding off this perceived image that is going on in front of you. It's all reaction shots for the most part, and so it's just and like I said before, it's good to put an actor in situations like this, to expand their range and their abilities. And so Rob is very good with that. We kind of worked on it for a while, but yeah, it was definitely outside. I don't want to say comfort zone, but it was definitely outside the realm of where I've worked before, because, like I said, primarily comedy, and this is not comedy, but comedy and horror are actually pretty close together when you think about it. It's the entire Sam Raimi philosophy behind the Evil Dead stuff. There's a setup and there's a punchline, and the punchline is either haha funny, or it's
or the other way,
or it's a book with a face that's trying to eat in your hand. So it's kind of the way it's kind of the way those setups go. So in terms of going through that as an actor, it's working on that reaction and pulling for that toolkit that you have, or you have to figure it out one way or another.
Yeah, it really had a silent movie sensibility visually to it that I think was really important for it, and that you did a really wonderful job of conveying.
Thank you, I appreciate that. That's part of it, especially in silent movies, or in reaction, any type of reaction. It's all in the timing. And so it's not just the actor; it's also the editing, it's the post, it's the director, it's the music, and so you have a couple more chances to get that timing right, versus just doing it live on stage, or at either stand up or a theatrical production.
And I do want to give a shout out to our my editor Gustavo Stebner in Los Felices. He was a longtime friend of mine, and he's also a filmmaker, and he did a wonderful job cutting the piece for me. And so I just wanted to thank him as well. I don't know if he's watching online or not.
Well, thank you all very much for sharing that. It really was a wonderful contribution to this year's Chones. La Barca, the ferry.
That was my favorite.
Ninton Resende. Thank you, Senor, for really stunningly beautiful film. It was another one of these examples of short film really being able to carry you, through the gliding beauty and movement, of the boat, but then to give you such heart-wrenching moments and miraculousness as well. Talk to us a little bit about your film and your motivation for wanting to make this piece, and also about the gorgeous moonlit look that you were able to maximize really in the film. Just, you know, some of the shots were so gorgeous. I'm seeing right now just the lights of the boat, you know, and then the reflection of the moon as if it's a path leading, you know, that you're, you know, going to travel somehow, you know, to the moon. Tell us about the difficulties of capturing that light.
One moment. Thanks. I don't speak English. I read a little.
Yeah, you're doing
I speak
fine,
a little, but my listen is terrible. But Molly is giving to me what you said, and I'm going to the Google Translator to understand. Let me see. This movie is very important to me because it's the first movie I've done. I work with cinema for 12 years, but as a coach and director casting. But Abac is my first film. And it's an adaptation of a short story, but a great writer from Brazil, Lígia Fagundes Teles. She's the writer of short story I love. I love her literature. And I think it was my first film, and the short story was the first short story I've read when I was a teenager. And it was a coincidence, a great coincidence. Let me read a good I've wrote. One moment. Sure. Our film is a mystery film. It's a film that can be about several things, about how we behave in the dark night of the soul, alienating ourselves, self-absorbing ourselves, opening ourselves to dialogue. It can also be about how some people see death where there is life, and other people can see life when everything around them shows death. It can also be seen as a film about sorority. After all, we only have women on that boat. The only man that remains oblivious to everything that happens to them. Women see each other, understand their pain, understand their silences. They, even in the encounter with a stranger, somehow know each other. We filmed the movie in a full moon because it was a movie in a dark night. So the moon, it was very important to give the light to us, it to give us a symbol around the life, a signal to say to us that something or someone sees us. There was a thing I was very worried. It was about the characters, about the actress. the actress rehearsed separately. They only spoke at the time of filming because I wanted they have a date. So I wanted the characters to exist before they meet. They dialogue only in the moment of the filming. I worked with each one during a month, 3 times in the week, and the moment of the filming, they date themselves. I don't know. Oh, please, Luisa, please help me. Luisa speaks some Portuguese.
You're doing fine. They did seem to have a wonderful, awkward rapport. Would you?
I didn't understand. Luisa, could you translate to us?
Daniel, yes. Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, he kept the actresses kind of isolated, but they did have a really wonderful, beginning kind of awkwardness, but a real rapport kind of resulted in that. And I wonder if you could kind of share how he felt about their performances and the conversation that they have.
Nilton, ele falou que mesmo que as atrizes se conheceram muito depois ou antes de filmar, ele achou as performances muito boas, e então ele queria perguntar para você o que você achou.
It's very good to listen you speak Portuguese because it's very hard to be a foreigner. It's very hard, and it's so good to listen our language. I like very much to see them. I love their characters. Yes. Sometimes I see our film and I'm falling in love with them. Yes, because I think they are very real. The characters have an interior life. Yes, there is a presence. There is a force. Né? Luiz, diz a eles, elas só trocaram diálogo no momento da filmagem. Né? Elas não falaram nada antes, só no momento da filmagem mesmo que elas filmaram. E eu gostei muito de vê-las, muito. É como se fosse, I'm in pride of them. Yes, of the actress. I'm very I'm prideful.
Daniel, that he just said that the actresses had not spoken before filming, and basically like the dialogue that you see on the film is kind of themselves talking for the first time.
Could you ask him about how he was able to get such a cinematic look to it in the natural lighting, which seemed, kind of purely natural, very naturalistic. Can you tell us a little bit, talk a little bit about the cinematography?
Yeah, Nilton, eles querem saber da cinematografia, eles estão perguntando se você utilizou a luz natural ou, tipo, que luzes que vocês utilizaram para conseguir esse look?
Certo. Nós utilizamos dentro da barca lâmpadas de LED. Ok? E também utilizamos uma câmera específica para filmagens noturnas, né? Fora da barca, na luz natural, a lua, mas dentro da barca, essa câmera é específica para a luz noturna e as lâmpadas de LED, né? E foi por isso que eu fiz questão também que a gente filmasse na lua cheia, para que não perdêssemos a visibilidade do entorno.
Entendi. He said that inside of the boat, they used LED lights, and then they also used the special camera, a nocturnal camera, and then in the exteriors, it was all natural light. He also said that they try to shoot when it was a full moon so that they could still get that or as much natural lighting as possible, even in the nighttime.
Well, tell him congratulations. A really lovely piece to watch, and like I say, another example of the power of short films to really touch and kind of play ping pong with your emotions and ideas. So, thank you so much for sharing that with us and for your wonderful presentation and insight, sharing your insight about La Barca. A Barca.
Thanks for receive us. And Luísa, muito obrigado. Adorei.
Nada, parabéns.
Obrigado.
One artist is also in the neighborhood here, so hopefully we'll have a good connection. Vecino, compadre, Tony. I really,
hey Daniel.
I got a wonderful kick out of the pieces. So thank you for providing them, and thank you for the wonderful humor. I especially like the appropriated work. Me, I'm like a chamero. I always think that the poached meat is the sweetest, so that's my pretext for appropriation. But talk a little bit about this side of your work and what you see continuing or advancing with your animated video pieces and exploration of juxtaposition and time-based media.
Yeah, sure. Just a little background. I'd never really had any formal training as a filmmaker or even as a photographer. My background is basically I'm a painter, a printmaker. I also do pastels, and then about 6 years ago, I got a small grant from where I teach at Regis University to buy an iPad. And with the iPad, I didn't know what to do with it, but I took some classes up at Anderson Ranch, it's on the western slope there near Aspen and Glenwood Springs, and I started learning how to use the iPad and the apps that were available to me, and through that I was able to appropriate many of the GIFs that I use in my videos. In my printmaking, I do what I call mixing or overlapping or juxtaposing icons or symbols that are American, but at the same time I try to appropriate or use symbols that are of Mexican culture, Chicano culture. And so my printmaking, I'll make Superman, Superhombre. I'll give him a bigote. There'll be a pyramid behind him, or I'll take Frida Kahlo and I'll make her Superwoman. Those kinds of things. So I thought, well, that'd be kind of fun to sort of play with that with my with the GIFs that I was able to appropriate. I use this thing called GIF finders, what I use, and I can find all the GIFs. So I just type in tacos, or I type in Chich Marin or something like that, so I can get these little animated images, and I can import them into iMovie, and then there I can edit and juxtapose and recontextualize. So I sort of see myself as painting with GIFs. So the paintbrush obviously are the apps, and then the canvas is the iPad. So that
I do want to mention how much I enjoyed those pieces, and also got a real kick out of some of the editing that occurred along with the juxtaposition that was happening. I think particularly the electrified fence in Spider-Man. That's just a great cut, man. It's just so seamless, and it surprises you, but the humor is so there. Could you talk a little bit about your influences in that work, which is, you know, so different from the other short film, El Viaje y el Sueño?
Yeah, well, I'll talk just a little bit about Chicano Western. So if you look at a typical American Western, it's always from an Anglo point of view. If we as Mexicanos, Chicanos are included, it's always stereotypical. Same thing with indigenous people, Native Americans. So I thought it'd be fun to sort of juxtapose that with, well, let me just step back. So in the thread of the movie, it's basically about it's a bar scene, and some guy walks into the bar, and all of a sudden there's a confrontation, and the confrontation is with Antonio Banderas, but then Antonio Banderas becomes Speedy Gonzalez, who becomes Bugs Bunny, and then he's having a confrontation with Wile Coyote, not Wile Coyote, I'm trying to think of what is the character, Yosemite Sam. So they become different characters, but throughout the thread basically is that typical Western of the gunfight and the romantic notion of the Western, and the white guy always wins at the end. But mind that at the very end, Sylvester gets killed, right? And Sylvester, again, is sort of, to me, is at least with Speedy Gonzalez, he's the gringo gato that's always protecting the border against the Mexican mice, right? So again, I'm sort of juxtaposing stereotypes, recontextualizing them, and then just poking fun at them. I think hopefully through the humor came through at that, but underneath it were sort of social commentary sort of was coming through. Did you see that, or did you feel that, Danielle?
Oh yeah, one of the highlights for me was the cut from Trump to the Chihuahua, or what is I'm looking at. You know, that image is the sequence of it. Another thing that I really wanted to see it as a gallery show too. You know, I want to see stills of it, because the, you know, juxtaposition is so powerful, and when you're looking at it as a still image, it gives you a little more time. Right. Although, you know, it's really delightful to have the animation, and, you know, I also, you know, like the way that it challenges, you know, your attention. You know, it's almost like it's manipulating your brainwaves a little bit, you know, from an alpha to a beta, or, you know, something like that. But, you know, I could really see it, you know, happening in a gallery as well. Have you considered that?
Yeah, I've shown my work at the Sangre de Cristo Arts and Conference Center down in Pueblo. I've showed them up I showed it in Grand Junction at the Western Center for the Arts in an exhibit. So most of the time I'm showing these in galleries that have photographs and paintings and drawings. So I see myself coming from that venue. So this is the first time I've ever showed my work in the context of a film festival.
Well, talk a little bit about the other short film that was an animation. I mean, it was almost like, are you the same person?
Yeah, I took, well, I've taken several classes at Anderson Ranch, and they bring in professional photographers or painters or cinematographers, and we have a 1-week workshop. And so I took a workshop with the guy who teaches documentary film at New York University. And he taught us how to put a story together, how to edit, how to sequence. And so what they wanted us to do was sort of approach one of the local nonprofits there and make a 1-minute animation. And the reason it was one minute is in, I guess, in Facebook and I don't know if it's still true, you were limited to 1 minute, and also Instagram.
Yeah.
What's that?
TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so, so I always thought it was funny there at Addison Ranch. The people are always working behind the people who are making the food, people who are serving the food, cleaning the condos, cleaning the restaurants, etc. Are the Latinos. Many of them are Mexican nationals, many Salvadorians. So one of the women that worked there came from El Salvador probably 10, 15 years ago, and she brought her sons here. So I decided to make a story on her. So I interviewed her, and I followed her throughout the day, washing dishes, preparing the meals, cleaning up afterwards. But then I also got her story. She talked about bringing her sons, and she was trying to protect her sons, and she still had to leave one son back home. So I tried to tell her story by showing what she did and how the sacrifices she was making to help her sons adjust and have a safer life here. So yeah, it is a very different approach. It's in a documentary, but in 1 minute.
Well, congratulations, really, because there's such a it's such a tender, presentation and very poignant. But the strength of her character and resilience, which are almost opposites, are really well captured there. So, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
So congratulations. And then that with the hilarity is a real contribution there.
Did you like Puro Party? That's just a real fun, crazy one.
Yeah, I got this assignment late, dude. I got it. So I have watched everything, but yeah, they were all good. It's genuine chaos, and you know how I love that. So it was a great contribution to this year's festival. So we'll look forward to more. Well, we've had an opportunity to talk about everybody's film. I'm sure that there's a lot of other.
Annie, there's one more.
Oh, there's one more?
Yes.
What am I missing?
It's Mama Chiapas with Andy Villanueva.
Okay. Well, Andy, can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, thank you for everyone for speaking. I think, this is in a way a dream because the Latin American community in Canada is still growing. And while there is a presence and there are some festivals, it's obviously not as developed and as extensive as in the United States. To be able to participate in this is really exciting. Mama Chiapas is essentially it's a documentary about the Indigenous midwives in Tinajapa, Chiapas. So Indigenous midwives, they're kind of the only barrier between death for women, and their labor is so imperative to the survival of so many people in the region, but they don't go, they're never compensated for their work. And so this, short documentary really highlights their efforts, and the hope is to build an impact campaign around the project to be able to raise funds to compensate, at least symbolically, to these women, because if the practice is lost, that's death of a really important cultural practice in the area. And so that is kind of a quick summary of the film.
How long were you able to stay on location for the filming?
We stayed there a few weeks.
A few weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. So where did you fly from Canada to arrive?
Yeah. So, the production process, we did it when I just turned 21. So I took all my money and all my credit cards to go there. Very naive, but just really wanting to document and also uplift this because I believe in economic justice. And so, yeah, we shot it on Blackmagic pocket camera, very, guerrilla style. And then it took 3 years to complete it because as I, grew older, made more films, it was really difficult for me to confront, the footage and kind of see like where my mistakes and all those kinds of components to it, which was all obviously representative of where I was at that stage as a filmmaker. So yeah, it was like 5 planes, and then you have to take like a 2-hour car ride to get to the region, and then you have to walk for like an hour with your equipment to the area. It's a very remote space. And it was a 2-person crew. So I did the directing and coordinated the sound. And then I had a DP who also helped with, you know, creating like the scenes and all of that.
Could you talk a little bit about what it was like bringing, a camera to, the midwives and their reaction to that and participation with it?
Yeah. So even though it is a very remote area, there is access to media. So there are people there who have cell phones. So it's not like it was a completely you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you weren't
it
another
wasn't-
planet.
It
Yeah.
wasn't a completely foreign concept, but part of the process is that every single evening we would show back the footage, particularly because there was a language barrier. And so we facilitated with a translator there, but I just wanted to confirm that everybody felt okay with the way that they were being represented. And obviously, me only speaking Spanish and then speaking Saltal, we were very intentional about making sure that the footage was always available to the women as we were moving
So
forward.
that was one of the keys, that they could see themselves.
Yeah.
It's sometimes very difficult for people to see themselves on camera. How did that go? How long did it take them to adapt and feel and not be self-conscious?
I think they were really generous. I think it also helped that we spent so much time together that it was really like we didn't start filming, like we built some sort of relationship, and we were very transparent about the kind of film that we wanted to make from the beginning. So there wasn't, I feel like they were also on board with the theme. So I think they were a very badass group of women who seemingly are not afraid of anything. And so I think it's okay if they had some reservations, because the objective wasn't like an expose on them, and they didn't need to be more vulnerable than they felt comfortable.
Well, congratulations and thank you for that. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep the films up online for a while for a larger audience to be able to enjoy these fabulous efforts. We're going on, I think, 2 hours. Boy, time flies when you're having an opportunity to talk with wonderful filmmakers. Are there any other comments that any of you would like to share or want to?
I just want to say congratulations to everybody. I know how hard it is to get films to to the very end, and I enjoyed. Like I said, I was able to watch all of your films, so I was really glad to be able to do that. So congratulations to everybody. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Where can we get a shirt?
Sí, señor.
Where can we get a shirt?
Where can you get a shirt? I don't know. I wear what my kids get me, and this is a very special prized one. I'll share it one more time.
Yeah.
So
as long as they come clean.
And thanks for noticing. Anyone else? Final comments? Well, it's been wonderful to be able to meet all of you, especially after enjoying the fruits of your labor. So I want to congratulate you again, and I want to thank Su Teatro and the XicanIndie Film Festival. We've been cultivating this for over a couple of decades now, and it's really bearing some wonderful fruit. So if my handlers are still around, they can let us know if we should disconnect, and hopefully be able to meet up in a theater soon, and you can come and visit us at our wonderful location at El Centro Su Teatro.
Daniel, I'd like to thank Molly because she was very, because their kindness and attention during this time in the email, she was wonderful. And I hope to know your theater. Okay, the Su Teatro I saw in the internet, and I'm falling in love with your work. It's very beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, and here's hoping that we'll be back to a big screen soon, because I certainly would love to see your work there in our dark salon, especially.
Benicia, go for it.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We want to remind you that we have a screening going on right now for Truly Texas Mexican, as well as a food demonstration. We encourage you to go ahead and log on and take a gander at that. We will also be having a Platica this evening at 9 p.m. Mountain Time with chef and writer Adan Medrano, the creator of Truly Texas Mexican. Don't forget to save the date, May 16th at 11 a.m. for our virtual cooking class. And next week, the 7th ever WordFest and Artists of Color Summit kicks off. So we hope that you all get a chance to check out the continuing program here at Su Teatro, because April is festival month. So thank you very much for joining us. Molly, I'll hand it over to you.
Just want to remind you to check out our summer internship. If you have a high school student who needs a job, you can head over to www.suteatro.org. That's also where you can go to get your festival tickets if you have not yet. Thank you so much to all of our filmmakers, to all the cast and crew, and again, thank you to our collaborators, KUVO 89.3 FM, Rocky Mountain PBS, the General Consulate of Mexico, and Media Arts Center.